Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to Soulful Saturdays with Saylor. Around here, we cut through the noise, ditch the fluff, and dive straight into what matters: spiritual wellness, radical self acceptance, unapologetic soulful living. Each week, I'll bring you the truth with a side of sass, reflections that wake you up, and reminders that you are glorious. So, whether you got your journal, your coffee, or that wild, messy bun, you are exactly where you are meant to be. Hey, soul family, it's Cindy here, back in your ear with some straight up talk. Can we just admit something together? Change is hard. Like, really hard. I mean, we all say we want it. Yeah, I'm really ready for growth. I'm ready to level up. But when it actually shows up at your door, suddenly it feels less like an opportunity and more like the IRS showing up unannounced, right? Yeah, yeah, I see you nodding. Don't worry, I see you and I'm with you. I tried to embrace change this week. Really, I did. I thought, Cindy, it's fall. Let's Marie Kondo the closet. Let's release what no longer serves. 2 hours later, there I was, sitting on the floor, hugging my old hoodie like it was my last friend on earth, totally unbothered by the mess around me, but emotionally committed to a sweatshirt. Classic me. And here's the thing. There's a lesson hiding in that mess of hangers and sweaters. Just like the leaves fall every autumn, there's wisdom in letting go. The trees don't cling to the old leaves because they're scared of change. They release them to make space for the new, for growth, for light. And maybe, just maybe, that's what we're called to do too. Release old habits, relationships, thoughts that no longer nourish us so we can make room for the life that's waiting for us. So, yes, change is scary. Yes, it's messy. And yes, sometimes it even smells like an old hoodie. But that's the beauty of it. Freedom is falling into the unknown with a little sass, a little humor, and a whole lot of heart. And if you're listening right now, soul family, I want you to promise yourself something. Today, let's start noticing the leaves that we've been holding on to. And maybe, just maybe, we'll let one fall. All right. So let's dive in and really talk about how to embrace change, honor our journey, and lift our spirits this fall because this season, it's ours. And let's get real for a minute. And let's be truly honest for a minute. Change is messy. And holding on to that old stuff, well, that's comfortable, right? I mean, let's be real. Sometimes we cling to habits, relationships, or thoughts that are heavy, outdated, or just plain exhausting. And yet, we treat them like prize trophies, even if they're weighing us down. Raise your hand if you've ever done that. Yep, I see you nodding and I see the hands going up. Oh, and by the way, mine are too. Yep, my hand is up. Guilty as charged over here too. Think about it. How many mornings have you woken up promising yourself, today I'm letting go? Today I'll do better. And then life happens. The argument with your partner from last week still lingers. That bad habit that you swore you'd break, yep, still there. And the thoughts? Oh, honey, the thoughts, they love to hang around like an unwanted guest who just won't leave. And here's the kicker. We convince ourselves that holding on is safe. And if I let go, I must lose something important. Or worse, if I let go, I might fail. Soul family, here's the truth. What we're clinging to often isn't protection, it's resistance. It's fear dressed up in a familiar sweater, smelling like, well, maybe my closet. Now, imagine this. Every habit, every grudge, every thought that you've been holding on to is like a leaf on a branch. And you're trying to hang on to it through a windstorm, straining every fiber of your being. Exhausting, right? But what if just a moment you allowed it to fall? Let nature do what it's good at. Let yourself release the old, the heavy, the unnecessary. This is the raw part, soul family. The part we don't talk about enough. Change isn't just about the new and shiny. It's about acknowledging the pain, the fear, the struggle, and saying, yes, I see you. Thank you. And now I release you. Because until we do, we can't really make space for growth, joy, or anything new that's waiting for us. And here's a little secret that might make you laugh. Sometimes the things we're resist letting go of, are the very things keeping us from seeing how amazing life can be when we finally do. It's ironic, it's messy, and yes, it's perfectly human. And that's exactly why I love this season. Fall reminds us every year that letting go is natural, beautiful, and necessary. So, soul family, take a moment right now. What's that one thing, just one, that you've been clinging to because it feels familiar or safe? Picture it, feel it, and start imagining what it would feel like to let it fall, to free yourself, to create room for something brighter. That's where the magic begins. If you're still holding onto that leaf that we've talked about, let's try something different. What if instead of fighting the change, you lean into it? Not kicking, screaming, or gripping so tight that your knuckles hurt, but gently, boldly, with curiosity, and just let it be. Hmm. I like to think about it this way. The trees don't panic when the leaves fall. They don't cling or bargain. They simply do what nature calls them to do. And you, my friend, you're no different. The universe isn't trying to punish you with change. It's handing you a little invitation. Hey, here's a chance to shed the old so the new can come in. Are you ready? Here's a fun thought. Sometimes the new looks scary, right? It looks scary, unfamiliar, even a little awkward. But remember, awkward is just growth in disguise. Think about the first time you rode a bike without training wheels, or tried a new dance move at a wedding. You wobbled, maybe fell, probably laughed, or cried a little, but eventually you found your rhythm. Change is no different. Awkward at first, glorious once the flow happens. So here's your pivot moment. Soul family, instead of resisting, it's experiment. So let's experiment. What's one way that you can allow change to show up this week? Maybe it's having a tough conversation. Maybe it's releasing a habit. Or maybe it's just deciding to let one negative thought float away instead of clinging to it like your last clean cup of coffee. And here's the best part. When you start practicing this, even just in tiny ways, you begin to notice a shift. Your energy lightens, your spirit breathes, and suddenly letting go doesn't feel like losing something. It feels like making space for exactly what you've been longing for. And here's my challenge for you, soul family. Let's not just survive change this season. Let's lean into it with some sass, with some laughter, and with a little bit of audacity. Because when we do, we don't just fall into freedom, we float. And if that made you smile, good. You just took one first pivot step. The journey isn't over. Oh no, we're just getting started. Up next, we're going to be diving into the real conversation, the stories, the messy, beautiful, everyday life moments where this stuff really shows up. So let's get real. Letting go sounds nice on paper, right? But in real life, oof, it's not always the pretty. I remember this one time I swore I was going to let go of a friendship. It had run its course. I knew in my bones it was draining me. And every time I went to set that brown boundary, there was a scrolling. There I was, scrolling on social media like some undercover detective. You ever do that? Oh, please, let me know that I'm not alone. That you're getting ready to let go of a friend, and there you are, catching yourself scrolling social media like a detective. Yeah, please tell me I'm not alone. And here's what I learned. Sometimes we hold on because we're scared of the quite that what is going to come later, you know? Like, if I let this go, what will I have left? But here's the wild thing. Every time I've released something, whether it was a relationship, a habit, or even a limiting belief, the quiet wasn't empty. It was a space. Space for peace, space for creativity, space for actual joy. And that, my friends, is priceless. Now, so I want to make this relatable. So think about fall itself. Those trees aren't standing there saying, "Oh no, what if my branches look bare?" No, honey. They know the bare season is part of the cycle. It's the rest, it's the preparation, it's the deep work that no one sees. So when spring comes, bam, they bloom bigger and brighter than before. And don't we all deserve that kind of a bloom? Yeah. And here's another everyday example. I once tried to declutter my kitchen. Where it was Pinterest perfect. I held onto this old chipped mug, not because it was cute, but because I drank my first cup of coffee in my new home. And I thought, if I let this mug go, am I letting that memory go too? No, 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 no. The memory stayed. What I let go of was the clutter, the heaviness, the reminder of a season that I was already honored. And in the empty space, I found joy in the fresh, new, wide open shelf. Sometimes it's not about losing, it's about choosing space for what's next. Plus, let's be real, that mug was one dishwasher cycle away from shattering anyway. The universe was like, girl, why are you still holding on to this thing? This is where the real work meets real joy. Change doesn't just happen in one big dramatic moment. It shows up in your closet, your coffee mug, your friendships, your thoughts. And when you start practicing release in the small things, the big shifts don't feel so impossible anymore. They actually start to feel natural and maybe even a little exciting. So let me ask you, what's your mug? What's your old hoodie? Your old hoodie. What's that one thing that you're holding on to that's safe, familiar, maybe even comfortable, but no longer serves your growth? So sit with that question, journal on it, laugh about it if you need to, cry about it if you must, but don't ignore it because your spirit is craving freedom. And hey, don't be surprised if when you finally release it, you look back and say, what on earth did I wait so long? That's the magic of letting go. It feels terrifying before, but liberating after. Like unclipping your bra at the end of the day, instant freedom, right? So, yes, my beautiful soul family, the real conversation is this: letting go isn't just a metaphor for the trees, it's a spiritual practice. It's self love in action, and it's the doorway to your next season of growth. And the best part, you don't have to do it all at once. One leaf at a time, one mug at a time, one hoodie at a time. That's how we fall into freedom. So let's talk about what actually happens when you do this thing, when you finally loosen your grip and let the leaf fall. Spoiler alert, you don't crumble, you don't vanish, you don't suddenly lose everything that you've ever known. No, what you do is lighten up, literally and spiritually. The first shift, your energy. You know that tight, heavy feeling in your chest when you're clinging to something that you've overgrown? The moment you release it, even in the smallest way, you can breathe again. It's like your soul whispers, finally, she's listening. And honey, that breath of relief, that's freedom knocking on your heart. The second shift is clarity. When your hands aren't full of clutter, whether there's a toxic friendship, a thought pattern, or yes, a mug with a crack big enough to hold a secret, you finally have room to grab hold of something better. And suddenly, you start seeing opportunities, ideas, and connections you couldn't notice before because you were too busy white-knuckling the past. It's kind of like trying to text with your hands full of grocery bags. You can't do it. But here's the thing, when you put those bags down, you're free to reply, to swipe, to scroll, to live. And the third shift is, which is my favorite, is the joy. Because joy doesn't live in the past. It doesn't thrive in clutter. Joy shows up when there's space, when you've cleared the branches, when you're not dragging around yesterday's drama. Joy is what sneaks in the back door when you finally open a window. So here's the truth. Letting go isn't just about loss, it's about gain. You gain freedom, clarity, joy. You gain enough to say yes to what's really yours. And when you lean into that change with a little faith and a lot of sass, that's when transformation stops being something scary and starts being something sacred. So ask yourself, what would life look like if you carried the weight of yesterday into tomorrow? That's the shift waiting for you. And trust me, when you say yes to that, you don't survive the fall. You soar in the freedom. So it's all about don't carry the weight of yesterday into tomorrow. You've walked the mess, the laughs, and letting go, and the shift. And now, well, let's just give you a sweet little nudge for the week. I don't want you to overhaul your whole life, burn all the bridges, or toss out every hoodie in your closet. I just want you to pick up one leaf, one thing that you've been holding on to that no longer serves you, and let it fall. Maybe it's a thought that keeps you stuck. Maybe it's the friend who only calls when they need something. Maybe it's the mug with the crack in it that you've been pretending it's still useful. Whatever it is, let one thing go. That's it. Simple, easy, one thing. And notice how your spirit will feel when you do. And hey, if that hoodie still sparks joy, keep it. But if it smells like 2005 with and regret, you don't want to do it. You don't want it. You do want to let that go. Freedom isn't found in holding on tighter. Freedom is found in trusting that when you release what's old, what's next will find you. One leaf, one step, one act of release at a time. That's how you honor your journey. That's how you fall into freedom. With great love to my beautiful soul family, go out there, let something go, and make room for your next season. Until next Sunday, until next Saturday, be glorious and remember, you matter always. Thank you for sharing this Soulful Saturday with me. As you move through your week, carry this truth in your heart. You are worthy, you are radiant, and your presence matters. And never forget, stay soulful, stay sassy, stay you. I'll see you next Saturday, beautiful soul. Same time, same vibe, same glorious energy.